Now, I've been a Pixar fan for over a decade now. We're talking about from A Bug's Life all the way up to Soul and Luca. Now, in these movies, they give you messages that you really think about after the film is over. I mean, from Nemo being a disabled child able to still achieve great things to the deep message that Soul gave you. Well, one of these one of these films I want to talk to you about is about one little character in one of the movies. Toy Story 4, which is a good chapter in the Toy Story series. It's one of my top two favorites. Toy Story 1 being the best one to me. But there is a character in these films that y'all really need to pay attention to, and you really need to pay attention to the story. There was a character named Forky. Now, Forky was just a little makeshift toy that was created at a craft class at this little girl's school. Now, the little girl loved Forky. Forky was just like a popsicle stick with two spoons and little Play-Doh for a face. Forky was just trash. But the little girl made him into a toy. Now, knowing that the characters in Toy Story are toys that can speak and have minds and can think, Forky was the type of character that knew what he was. He knew he was trash. Forky, on various parts of the movie, showed you as much. He would see a trash can and would just be like, ooh, trash, and just jump his butt back in the trash can. And you had Woody trying to save this thing and jumping in the trash can with him and pulling him out. Now listen, oftentimes in life, you run into individuals who are just trash. But for some reason, you bring yourself to the point where you believe that you've been sent to help this person along, to bring this person, to love them enough to get them out of the mental state that they're in. Forky knew what he was. Forky accepted what he was. And Forky continued to jump in the dang trash can. Now, as I said before, individuals in your life, may it be loved ones, family members. It may not be a person, maybe a situation, maybe a mental state that you're in, that you hold on to and try to make things better. It's still trash. Forky constantly showed the individuals, the fans, the people watching the movie, that he was trash. And yet, in the movie, people still try to make him something more than what he was. Well, I understand that in the film, Forky ended up being a very pivotal character, and he was very loved at the end. But you know as well as I do, that doesn't always happen. Oftentimes, we still hold on to people who know that they're trash and continuously show you by their actions and their mind state that they're trash. It was once said, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. It's no different. You're constantly going into trash cans trying to pull out somebody that wants to stay in the state that they're in. We all got Forkies in our life. We all got these individuals who stay in that certain rut and they want to be there. It's not a mask. That's what they are. And I know some people that are pretty much in the biblical sense, Christians, people in religious sense, they do believe that God can send you to be an inspiration to a person. Sometimes best inspiration is just to plain let it go. Because that person really respects you and loves you and really respects what you say and how you feel in regards to them. Sometimes letting it or them go often can spark a mindset that would say, oh, dang, well, they cut me off. A lot of times they would just mentally be in a state where they just say to themselves, dang, they cut me off. It must be something going on. It can wake them up. Sometimes letting that trash go would be the best thing for them. Sometimes just let it go, period, will be the best thing for you. And, I know the religious said there was religious backgrounds in talking the Bible. There are individuals or situations where God said, well, or people say that in the Word, that there's individuals that really God saw could still be seen as trash, but He brought them something better, like the woman at the well. I mean, if you've seen the Bible, you probably know the story. She was basically a harlot, who God basically turned from harlot to missionary in less than a minute. There's Moses, man with a speech impediment, who didn't know what his place was in the world until God showed him to bring his people out of Egypt. Now, I get that, but we're talking about some other stories too. Let's talk about Saul, for instance. Saul was supposed to be God's chosen until he started screwing up big time. And his mentality and his way of dealing with things without God leading him basically made his mindset trash. And he sent David to deal with him. There is Sodom and Gomorrah. They basically, in God's eyes, were trash. There were 2 cities, and God turned them literally into a dumpster fire. You have, talk about Moses, you talk about the people he led out of Egypt. And when he led them out of Egypt, God saw their mentality being so much trash, he left them in a forest for a long, long time. So I understand when people say, hey, God can bring out the best in people that people don't see. I get that, but sometimes God sees trash too. And just to close, like I said before, you may have a Forky in your life. You may have an individual or people in your life. I don't care if it's family members. I don't care if it's a person that you love for years. It is time to just take time out and just mentally let that thing or person go. Write down on paper what who or what you consider your Forky. Ball it up that paper, throw it in the trash. It would be the best thing for you. It might be the best thing for them. It's time for you to take your Forky and throw them away.